Okay, this video is going to be divided into many sections. This is going too fast for me to keep up when I read along with it. I'm going to cover a lot of stuff, so let's get started. Okay, as I was saying in the beginning of this video, I'm going to talk about Atlantis. If it ever exists, and what does it mean if it does exist? Is there any connection to fallen angels? Although the Bible does not specifically mention Atlantis by name, and neither does any of the lost books of the Bible, or what's referred to the lost books or forgotten books of the Bible. They don't actually mention Atlantis by name either. However, something that is most commonly associated with Atlantis is advanced technology. And we see in the Book of Enoch, in the Book of Jasher, that they done some experiments on animals. Mixing them together. Now, it is my personal opinion that they should not have had that kind of technology back then. Because we're talking pre-flood. I believe that fallen angels had a role to play in that. Because I find it very interesting that there would have been enough technology to do that. And it's a race of people that it don't seem to exist anymore, in a continent that's debatable whether or not it ever existed in the first place. When I think Atlantis is considered a fictional place. There was some speculation that Antarctica was Atlantis, although in this video it has nothing to do with what I'm going to bring on this video has nothing to do with whether or not it is. So, this video is going to be divided up into sections. And I'll show you exactly where in the Book of Enoch, in the Book of Jasher, that these animals existed. Let's get straight to it. Okay, now you might notice that that Enoch and Jasher, they're written like King James style, and a lot of Jasher had to kind of split up. It's too much to fit in one tile, so I had to split up into 3 tiles or more to get the whole thing to fit. So all this is continuing from the same story. Yeah. Okay. Now, anyways, like I was saying, there's these experiments, as I just showed you, was going on. Like I said, it doesn't seem that there would have been enough technology, or at least normally. Something else that's been associated with advanced technology and is aliens. And there is speculation that aliens had visited Egypt, and they had some advanced technology. I don't believe that they were actually aliens. I believe that they were fallen angels posing as aliens and gods and whatever else. And I believe there's also some connection to Egypt and Atlantis. He will actually do some research into Atlantis. I think Plato was in Egypt or something when he heard the story, and it supposedly happened like 10,000 years before him or something. Which that's just speculation. I think this was pre-flood. Something I'm going to get into later is I think the flood was the destruction of Atlantis. Although that's later on in this video. So we're talking about these things that was these experiments, which some speculate led to the creation of dinosaurs, or at least the meat-eating dinosaurs. There's reasonable speculation that something like a T-Rex was not created by God. And that seems to make sense, because Adam and Eve would have been in terrible danger the moment they sinned, and God knew they was going to sin. So, and I did some research into that, and apparently the T-Rex is very similar to a chicken. They have the feet, they have the arms, although it looks a different pattern. I might post a link to that video if it's still on YouTube. And there's other things that have been created as well. Yeah, I think I'll get to that section real quick. Now, these verses right here talks about half human, half animal hybrids that we see in a lot of mythologies. So this stuff, the Book of Enoch might actually give, and the Book of Jasher, might actually give the origins of these animals, and they are written in King James style English, like Shakespearean English is what it's actually called. The same thing that the King James Bible is written in. So that's why it's written have it like that. Okay, these other things that have been created, as I have, I think by now you would have seen these the half human, half animal hybrids stuff. I showed you. By now you would have already seen those other stuff about that. So, this stuff, the half animal, half human hybrids, which includes animals that I'd never heard of, like the Book of Jasher described an animal that's like the lower half of a human and the upper half of an animal I never heard of. I tried looking it up, and apparently it's not really known what that is. Some kind of animal. Anyways, what we see in a lot of mythologies, creatures that are half human, half animal. And also, something else you might know is the Book of Jasher and Enoch and Jubilees. I guess pretty much all what's considered the forgotten books are written in Shakespearean English, King James style. Which I probably should have mentioned in the beginning of the video. So yeah, these animals are probably what led to a lot of what happened in the Book of Enoch. Is probably what's behind a lot of mythologies that exist today. These are half human, half animal beings, which their mere existence is an abomination to God. And there's more. Okay, now before I show you verses about God's judgment, let's get to verses of that in the Bible that mentions the Book of Jasher. Like this verse right here. Well, it's just gonna take up a couple of tiles, and I guess 3 tiles, and the next one only takes up 1. That's very important. Now, what I'm trying to do is basically prove that the Bible does mention the Book of Jasher, so that means it has some credibility. Um, and stuff in the Book of Jasher also matches up with the Book of Enoch. And once again, these are more verses. These are more reasons why I believe Atlantis was uh, destroyed by God. I think that the flood of Noah and the destruction of Atlantis was one of the same, because most of the human race was corrupted at that time. Um, so I guess this is all the narration I have time. Okay. Anyways, now I'm going to continue with the judgment part that I mentioned earlier. Now, once again, right now, if you would have seen the beginning of it, in the Book of Jasher, it says something about teaching the mixture of animals to bring forth God's wrath. Which, I don't know what they were thinking. Why would you want to do something like that? Anyways, that right there, now since this thing would have been a great offense to God, they would have brought on the wrath of God and the judgment of God. This is partly why I believe, and this is the main thing why I believe Atlantis had a big role to play in these animal experimentations, because, because they've been wiped out completely. Not to mention, if you look in Genesis chapter 6, it talks about all flesh being infected. They've been corrupted, and Noah and his family was the only pure ones. And by now, before you seen this clip, you would have already seen the slideshow part where I showed a couple books in the Bible that actually mentions the Book of Jasher. Something about the rest of the acts of so and so, or something to that effect. I mean, are they not in the Book of Jasher or something? The exact phrase is within the first part of this last clip. So if the Bible endorses the Book of Jasher, then it must be pretty good. It must hold some water. Anyways, these are my thoughts on Atlantis and why I believe what I do about it. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go over what I just said. Let's see. So you have Atlantis, Antarctica, fallen angels. I talked about God's judgment. I talked about these animal experiments, which I believe they had to have some kind of advanced technology, which these fallen angels brought, because I don't think they should have had that much technology to even attempt these kind of animal experiments. And this stuff is very important to know, because this stuff would have been going on during the days of Noah. And if you read Matthew 24, it talks about at the end times, Jesus returned during the days of Noah. So you can look at aliens and strange monster sightings I'm going to do a video covering that later on. So yeah, and this is the conclusion of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye. Yeah, this has been my personal beliefs about Atlantis and why I believe what I do about them. And thank you for watching this video. Our prayers go to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Thank you.